Really good performances from Wolves again in that opening spell. Jimenez and
Oh boy. Thank you, Kyle. Holy crap. Okay, we're going to have to cut that one. I apologize, anyone who's been here for a while. I muted my mic during the countdown and completely forgot to turn it back on. Thank you, Kyle, for noting that. So we'll work on editing that one out of the video. But still 0-0 to Brighton, or sorry, still 0-0 Brighton and Chelsea here. We're at about 7 minutes. We'll get back into the commentary here as we've got a throw-in. So do apologize again for those who'd already tuned in. Chelsea now restarting from this throw. They've shifted it across to the left side. Marcos Alonso moves this one up to Timo Werner, whose first touch in this match was pretty good. This one not as good as he is caught offsides by the Brighton defensive line, and that will be a turnover there. Pretty active start here by both teams. Brighton have had some pretty decent exchanges in the early parts of this match, but Chelsea, anchored by the midfield duo of Jorginho and N'Golo Kante, have done a very nice job screening their backline so far, cutting off the dangerous passing angles into Leandro Trossard and Neal Maupay, who started up top here for Brighton. And Chelsea with one good opportunity from a nice run by Timo Werner, the newly signed center forward from RB Leipzig, €60 million transfer. That one probably would have been called offsides had the play gone through and Mason Mount gotten on the end of his cross, but as it is, still nothing doing for either side. Adam Webster with a nice pass up to March, but March not quite anticipating that one. It will roll out for a throw-in. Throw-in comes from James, will be reset all the way back to Christensen, who clears this one. Nice touch from Mason Mount. Will find Werner on the left here. Plenty of Brighton shirts behind the ball, but now Marcos Alonso overlapping. And look at the speed from Tariq Lamptey running down that pass from Timo Werner, beating Alonso there. He will knock that one out for a throw-in. Tariq Lamptey signed late last season by Brighton, I believe from Chelsea's youth side. Now playing up against his former team, sitting out at the right wing-back position in this 3-5-2 for Brighton. This 3-5-2 being pitted against Chelsea's 4-3-3. It is a shape that they played a decent amount last season, but did also go to the 3-5-2 themselves at times. And once again, a little surprising not to see the newly signed Ben Chilwell. As here's a long pass from Zuma, but that one will just evade Kai Havertz. Another summer signing for Chelsea, brought in from Bayer Leverkusen. He's been positioned out on the right wing here. You can see that run coming from deep in behind Solly March, and that ball just escaping his path. They're not quite able to run onto that one. This one will be restarted by Brighton here. It's moved out towards Lamptey. He's forced back by Mason Mount. Now it's Webster. Lewis Dunk, the captain's armband today. Here's Ben White looking up the field. His pass will not connect with Maupay, but Bissouma will clean up behind him. Possession will find its way back to Webster here. He'll look out wide to March. Webster pressured by Loftus-Cheek. He's forced back to Dunk. Dunk looking up. Clip this one over the top here. Christensen trying to find it, but in the end does a decent enough job and allows it to fall back into Kepa's hands. Kepa will move this one out left to Marcos Alonso. Now inside to Jorginho. Jorginho's pass a little bit soft, but Kai Havertz does well with it. Here's Kante. Reece James out on the right-hand touchline. Chelsea happy to play a little bit slow. You can see all 11 players here for Brighton sitting in behind the ball. Trying to tighten these spaces, not allow Chelsea to play in through the midfield. This one coming from the left-hand side over to Reece James, but the pass is overhit by Zuma. It will go out for a throw-in. 11 minutes on the clock. These two teams still clearly feeling each other out and trying to get used to the new speed of this Premier League season. This is match one for both of these sides. Chelsea did have a little bit more play following the restart than Brighton did due to their appearance in the FA Cup final, which they did lose to Arsenal. So potentially a little bit more time to train. But with all the summer signings they have had, all the action that has happened for them thus far, maybe a little bit more chaotic of a break for them than Brighton, and probably still just trying to get their feet settled into this new Premier League season with a couple of new signings on the field. They win this ball back from the Brighton throw. Finds its way to Jorginho, now out to Marcos Alonso. Alonso going to overlap Mount, but won't get the ball back. Instead, it will be pushed back to the center backs. Christensen will look out to Reece James. James in a little bit more of an advanced position, but is forced back by pressure from Brighton. It'll swing over to the left once again. Jorginho forced to swing it back. Good pressure here from Mopé. Chelsea able to play through it so far. Conte trying to look wide, but his pass is picked off by Lallana. Now Bissouma tries to take on Havertz, but can't get by him. It's turned over in midfield. Werner shifts left of Dunk. Tries to play a 1-2 with Loftus-Cheek, but it's broken up by Brighton. Now alone here on the right touchline. We'll turn this one over. Is Ben White and will be called for the foul, trying to chase that one down. Valiant effort there, as he was the only Brighton player in the vicinity. Really did not have any options to get himself out of that situation. Chelsea will restart this one. Jorginho a little frustrated, not seeing any options in front of him. Once again, Brighton in a pretty good defensive shape right now. All 11 players mostly behind the ball. Here's good entry pass from James. Will find its way to Loftus-Cheek. Now James crossing from the right. It's picked off by Dunk. Webster will collect it and find March. March looks upfield for Mopé, but good read by Jorginho. He's able to deflect that one, and it will find its way to N'Golo Kanté. Chelsea starting again from the back. Would expect Chelsea to have most of the possession in this match. Brighton sitting in a 3-5-2. Do have a couple extra players in midfield, but Chelsea typically a possession side, although possession lost here by Mount, and now a little bit of room to run here for Mopé on the right. He'll cross in from the right, but it's blocked by Zuma. Will go out for the first corner of the match here, over to the side of Brighton. So a bit of a mistake there from Mason Mount. Was collapsed upon by 3 Brighton players. Didn't get it out of his feet in time, and now the first real chance of the game here. So again, if you are at home, Brighton is in the dark blues today. Instead of Chelsea, they'll be moving left to right this half. Chelsea in the white kits, moving from right to left. Players getting set up here for the corner. Solly March taking it from the right-hand side. In swinging corner. Goes far post towards Webster, but it's well read by James. Now Bissouma crossing back in. This one will find March once again, but his ensuing pass is picked off by Conte. Now there's some room to run for Werner. He'll shift it past Adam Lallana. He's met by a retreating Solly March, who will commit a foul onto the German striker. Chelsea will be able to clear their lines here and retain possession. You can see this cross coming back in from Bissouma, actually picking out Leandro Trossard in this case, not Solly March, but his pass as reverse pass, trying to find, I believe, Steven Alzate, was well read by N'Golo Kanté and easily intercepted by the Frenchman. Have been some slight rumors here and there of potential interest in N'Golo Kanté from other teams across Europe, but with how immense he's been for Chelsea since his signing from Leicester City, can't imagine Chelsea would be very interested in moving that player along. He is such a rock in the anchor of that midfield alongside either Jorginho, Ross Barkley, or really any of Chelsea's midfielders. As Lamptey pressured well here by Mason Mount, forced to clear. The throw-in finds Timo Werner in the left corner. Tries to flick this one into Mount, but is unsuccessful. And a sliding challenge there from Lallana will clear it out for a throw-in. Not sure if the referee called a foul here, or if he's simply pointing in the direction of a throw. No, looks like it will just be a throw. Marcos Alonso will try to restart this one. Pick out Mount on the left touchline. Looks for a cross, but is blocked by Lallana. Now inside with Havertz. N'Golo Kanté, his touch too big, and Lamptey will clear this one. I believe that came last off of N'Golo Kanté. Will indeed be a Brighton throw-in. Once again, bit of a slower start by both sides. There's been some good passages of play from both. Both pretty happy I would say, to be in their defensive shape, be sort of getting their feet, feeling into this match, feeling their opponents out here. Really haven't had any great chances as of yet in this match, but Chelsea have settled into a decent possession advantage in the last 6 or 7 minutes here. So this throw in from Lamptey is a little bit poor and will escape Adam Lallana, go out for a Chelsea throw in. We have in the chat, I have a question from Young Bolus here. So let's see, Nolan. First to get fired, Lamps, Parker, or Mourinho? That's an interesting question. There is a lot of pressure in the Premier League this year, particularly for Lampard, who was a very successful manager last season by most metrics, using a very young squad, had a transfer ban, so couldn't bring in any other players, and finishing in the Champions League places, doing very well for himself. But with all the signings Chelsea have had, there's a lot more pressure on him to deliver silverware this year, particularly after having the FA Cup nipped off of them by Arsenal in the final. However, I would still lean towards Mourinho. I think Scott Parker is well liked by Fulham. I think Fulham has some expectations of having a tough year this year in the Premier League, and I think Tottenham will expect a little bit more out of their team, and I don't think that Mourinho's tactics or the players on that squad can deliver it at the moment. Meanwhile, this one has dribbled into Chelsea's back line. It'll be collected by Zuma. Jorginho under some pressure from Lallana here. Will try to find an escape pass to Havertz. It goes all the way up the field towards Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who is shoved unceremoniously to the ground by Ben White there. Will be a free kick to Chelsea here as we take over 18 minutes on the clock. Again, do want to apologize for those who tuned in early, as I was muted for about the first 20 minutes of my broadcast, so we missed a lot of the build-up to this game. Brighton playing in a 3-5-2 today, with Tariq Lamptey and Solly March as their outside wing backs. Chelsea in a 4-3-3. Not necessarily an unfamiliar shape for the Blues, but definitely one that they did not use all the time last year, as they were often using a 3-defender set as well. As now this ball in the box is flicked around, but goes too high for Werner to get his head on, and it will fall harmlessly into the hands of Matt Ryan. First real foray we've seen into Brighton's box here from Chelsea, but some good defending from Lewis Dunk. They're able to remove the danger fairly quickly, as Matt Ryan will restart to Bissouma, whose pass out wide will find March. Does a great job to slide and keep that one in, but unfortunately does have his momentum stopped there, and Chelsea will be able to recover, get behind the ball. So Brighton will reset all the way back to Ben White. Goes out now to Tariq Lamptey. He'll look up and try to find Mopé, but their timing is a little bit off. It's picked off by Zuma. Now with Reece James. That pass is poor from Chelsea, and now it finds the feet of Alzate. Alzate going to pick out March wide. He's met by Reece James here. We'll look in behind for Leandro Trossard. Trossard to Alzate. Now inside the box. Great 1-2 here. Trossard is in the box, cuts it back, and that one is cleared by a retreating Mason Mount. This one will go out for a Brighton throw, but the first real dangerous moment of the game here is a great 1-2 from Alzate into Trossard. His cutback just narrowly escapes Adam Lallana, who I think thought that it was meant for someone else. Maybe the power on the cutback just deceiving him into thinking there was another player behind him. But a very nice run from Trossard, a good pick out by Solly March. And the first real dangerous opportunity there for either team, but well defended by Mason Mount at the end of the day. Brighton now forced back by some good Chelsea pressure. Will find the feet of the goalkeeper, Matt Ryan here. He will move this one into the feet of Alzate, but his pass is poor in the midfield. Is picked off. Now here is Werner going to the left of Matt Ryan, and we have a penalty called on Matt Ryan here, making some contact with Timo Werner as he shifted the ball to his left side. And this one should be a penalty. This, I imagine it will be checked here. Referee is in conversation with his replay officials. You can see here Matt Ryan moving it out to Alzate. This is a horrible flat pass from Alzate. It's easily read by Jorginho. He finds Timo Werner, and looking at the replay here, yeah, it's an easy penalty call, it has to be said, Werner gets to the ball first. He shifts it past Matt Ryan, and Ryan leaves his leg there. Definitely makes contact with Werner. So I think this one will stand as a Chelsea penalty and will most likely be Werner's first opportunity to open his account for Chelsea here. Jorginho has been the penalty taker in the past, but I would imagine, given the price tag and the recent transfer, Werner might be the man to step up for this one. Nope, will be Jorginho actually. So keeping confidence in the penalty taker of last season. Matt Ryan trying to make himself big on the touchline here. Referee keeping an eye on all the players at the top of the box. Going to make sure nobody enters early. It is Jorginho here, 22 minutes into the match, from the penalty spot, trying to open Chelsea's account for this Premier League season. Referee checks the goalkeeper. Whistle to the mouth. Here comes Jorginho. Takes a deep breath here at the top of the box. Here comes the run-up. Hop penalty, and it is good. Jorginho scores. 1-0 Chelsea into the bottom left corner using that short hop method that both he and Bruno Fernandes love. And this one is clean from Jorginho. Chelsea take the lead on 22 minutes and open their account for this Premier League season. You can see, looking at the replay, Jorginho takes some time in the run-up, gets that little hop, little half hop that he and Bruno love so much, and sends Matt Ryan the wrong way before burying that one in the bottom left corner. So very composed, well done for Jorginho, and he opens both his and the team's account here with a beautiful goal created from a horrible, horrible error from Steven Alzate, with that pass in midfield picked off by Jorginho and then sent forward for Timo Werner, who certainly was clipped by Matt Ryan as he tried to shift past him inside the box. So Chelsea will take the lead from that mistake, and we'll have to see how Brighton can adjust and try to get back into this one. Mopé will play this one back, a ball over the top, but Lallana's offsides. March will get there first. Trossard. He is harried by Christensen here. We'll try to move it back to Bissouma, but Ruben Loftus-Cheek retreating will pick this one off. James now looking up the field, but won't find any white shirts. It will fall to Lewis Dunk, and he will retreat to Matt Ryan. Nolan asking, how will the Chelsea team adjust to Thiago, who's dropped? And this is actually something I was talking about while I was muted, unfortunately. I was interested to see who would start for Chelsea at center back here today. As Tariq Lamptey, met by two players, will find Lallana inside the box. Here's an open Alzate at the top. His shot is blocked by Christensen. Suing headers won by Bissouma, but it comes out to Kai Havertz. He plays this one in behind for Werner. It's 2-on-1 here. They are behind the ball. See Havertz here on the left here. Werner going to shift it to the right, try to cross it, but it's blocked by Dunk. Pretty good defending there at the end of the day by Brighton. Decent break in behind, but Havertz not putting enough juice on that one for Timo Werner to really burst away from the Brighton back line. So we do have Zuma and Christensen to come back to that point, Nolan, starting today at the center back position. I think it'll sort of be by committee. I think, Chelsea's defense was probably their weakest part of their team last season. And while they did get a couple reinforcements in Chilwell and Thiago Silva this season, you would imagine Silva won't sit on the bench due to that acquisition. So here's a great cross from Tariq Lamptey, and Trossard whiffs the header. Sorry, that is Mopé. Tariq Lamptey picking him out super successfully from a deep cross here on the right. See a nice 1-2 between Bissouma and Alzate. First time cross from Tariq Lamptey there. Picks out Mopé, but he gets under this one. Doesn't quite get the flicked header he wants. Makes too much contact. It comes off his shoulder and loops high, allowing Kepa to come out and claim it. But yeah, I think back to that center back point, Chelsea will probably be looking to hopefully find one other center back to be their guy. But considering how they all played last year and some of the uncertainty around their consistency, their ability, I do think there will be portions of the season in which we see a committee in which Thiago Silva starts if he's healthy, and then Zuma, Christensen, and why am I forgetting the Antonio Rudiger? Will kind of fill in the last slot. That's how I imagine it'll happen, unless one of them really steps up to solidify that slot. Let's get back into play here. We can see Lamptey's been left in a heap on the ground here, going to this challenge with Mount. Mount leaning into him. Ooh, and I think maybe just got clipped by Mount's cleat in the hand as he was running back there. Yeah, definitely working on the right hand here of Tariq Lamptey. Hopefully nothing broken there, but should be okay as we go back to this replay of how the goal developed. You can see Alzate collects possession here and is looking across at Bissouma, but just read the entire time by Jorginho, and the pass from him is super flat and very slow. One of the most dangerous passes you can play in midfield is sort of the blind flat pass, the one where your back is, where you're facing your own goal, where your back is to the opponent's team, and you try to play a flat or sort of flattish pass to one of your other midfielders or defenders. That is one that the enemy team, particularly a team like Leeds or Liverpool that press high up the field, can easily pick off and run downhill at your defense. And you saw the exact result of that as Werner gets in behind and then is brought down by Ryan in the box. And that is how we arrive at this 1-0 scoreline, which I just realized I have not updated. Hey. So Matt Ryan will restart the game. We're 27 minutes in. His clearance will not find any of the Brighton players. It will fall harmlessly to Zuma. Christensen under pressure from Mope here will be forced long. Lewis Dunk wins the initial ball.
Wonderful.
The second ball will come off of Trossard and will go out for a throw in there. Ooh, I am sorry. Who just followed? Let me pull the event list up here. King, thank you for following. Welcome to the booth. Oh, hey, Mike. What's up, man? Brighton going to win back possession here. Tariq Lamptey moving out wide will receive this one from Matt Ryan. He'll look up the line with his first touch, but that one is blocked by Marcos Alonso. We'll go out for a throw on the right touch line here. Well, Mike, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. Tariq Lamptey here with the throw, and as we see, Mope just kind of go down in a heap after coming into contact with Zuma here up the field. He is in some pain as the referee coming over to assess the situation here. Again, 29 minutes into the match, we have a 1-0 lead for Chelsea. Ooh, yeah. We have a bit of a mean comment towards Mope there in the chat, but do have to side with him on this one. Definitely gets stepped on there by Zuma, and then also kind of has his ankle twisted as he tries to kind of run away from Zuma there. So definitely one that looked like it hurt a decent amount. So could still be true of that. That opinion could still be true, but I think in this case I'll say that one probably hurt. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Nolan's an Arsenal fan, guys. So Mope was trash-talking Arsenal for good reason last season, so he's a little salty still. Mope still down here. Actually has his cleat off of his left ankle, the one that was stepped on. May just have a sprain. Looks like he will be able to continue, but probably just in a little bit of pain. Probably got some of the nice magic spray. If you've ever played soccer in high school, college, or pro level, that magic spray is some great stuff. Makes you feel much better right away. So Mope will move off the field here. We'll be able to rejoin shortly. What even is it? That's a great question, Nolan. I actually never looked into it. It just makes you feel great. It makes the spot where you're hurt feel so much better. This one played long here by Ben White. Zuma is there to meet it, but we'll just clear it out for a throw-in. My alert box isn't here either. Lamptey will restart this one with a throw from the right side. He'll escape Jorginho here. The last-ditch challenge. Not sure if it gets the ball or him. Jorginho seems to be a little upset at Lamptey, trying to claim he goes down too easily here. That's a great nutmeg on Marcos Alonso there from the left touchline. This challenge, it's not a bad challenge from Jorginho, but I think it's silly for him to be mad at Lamptey. Definitely did kind of clip Lamptey after he got the ball there. Some good work from the right wing back here, but unfortunately doesn't only gets a corner out of it. Solly March will be over to take this one from the right side. Will be an in-swinging corner kick. Here comes the corner. Looking deep once again. Kepa is there, just gets a hand to it as Ben White was coming in at the far post, and that one will go out for what looks to be another corner kick, this time from the right-hand side. See here Webster and White coming in at the back post, and I do think just a bit of a touch there from Kepa. Not the strongest one for sure, but does just enough to keep it out of the path of Ben White there. Oh, and actually got a flick off of Ben White, so in the end, well played by Kepa, and will earn his team a goal kick instead of a second corner. He'll launch this one high up the center towards Loftus-Cheek. Loses out to Lewis Dunk there. But Chelsea do come away with possession until Loftus-Cheek turns it right back over. Lamptey will reset to Dunk, who will find Matt Ryan. Ryan out to Ben White. Ben White looking up, driving a ball up the field, but sprays this one a little bit out to the right and can't quite connect with Lallana, who is streaking up the right-hand touchline. Now play has resumed. Long ball in behind from Chelsea is well read by Dunk. He finds Matt Ryan, who pushes this one wide to Webster. Webster will clip this one in towards midfield. It's collected well by Trossard, who finds Bissouma. Bissouma will spray this one out wide to Lamptey. He's met by Mason Mount, will be forced inside. Now it's out to, I believe this is Dunk. Trossard, Lamptey. Now up to Lallana, who will swing around into the center of the field. Alzate. Good dribble here through Chelsea's midfield. Has some room at the top. He's going to shoot. That's a good shot. It's on target. Pushed away. Here's Solly March from the left. That shot is blocked as well, and it will finally come out of the Chelsea box, but will be collected by Bissouma. Very nice shot there from Alzate. Definitely on target towards that bottom left corner, but a good punch away from Kepa, and was on his feet quickly to be able to react to Solly March's shot, but fortunately for him, was initially blocked by Reece James. So the danger passes for now. Good flick by Trossard out to March. This one's kept in play and is knocked out for a corner by Andreas Christensen. So good play here by Brighton in the last 3 minutes as the replay for Alzate's shot coming here. You can see he's not pressured by Zouma as he gets to the top of the box and takes a good hit at that one. Definitely on target going into that bottom right corner. So a good save from Kepa to push that one wide. Now Zate trying to get on the score sheet to make up for that mistake leading to Chelsea's goal here. Looks like Trossard will take this corner from the right. He's going to float this one to the top to Bissouma, who tries to volley it but misses. Bounces around but finds the feet of Ben White. He'll be forced to go back to Lamptey now with Bissouma again. Bissouma up the field for Lamptey. And N'Golo Kante's getting stuck in there with a challenge. He'll win that one off of Lamptey. But some good reading by Lallana will win possession back. And now Lallana driving forward with some room to run. Great pass into Mope. He's inside the box, but 3 Chelsea defenders are able to crowd him out. And it will come away with Jorginho. Great slotted pass in there from Lallana, but Mope just couldn't get it out of his feet and allowed the Chelsea defenders to crowd around him and stop him from taking a shot. But once again, Brighton look very dangerous right now, getting good passes in behind the Chelsea midfield line, able to slot in for their strikers. And Chelsea need to get a hold of the ball again, try to slow this match down or try to get some momentum in their favor as they turn it over once again. And now a pretty awkward challenge there from Kai Havertz through the back of Solly March. Not sure if there's going to be a foul call or if this will just be a throw. So we look back again at this chance for Mope. He is onside. It's a great slip pass, but yeah, just can't get it out of his feet to get a shot away. And first it's Zuma with a slight poke, and then Christensen able to poke it away from him on the second effort. So a little unfortunate there to not get that one into a shooting position, as they will restart from a throw here. March into Lallana. Lallana will look up. He'll find Bissouma. Great defensive effort there from Timo Werner all the way back at the top of his own box. Is able to poke it away from Bissouma, who now will foul Marcos Alonso, trying to bring it out, and may get a card for his troubles here. Now we'll just get a warning from the referee. Now play has resumed with Marcos Alonso here. So moved back into the center backs, but the attempted lofted pass from Christensen will only find the hands of Matt Ryan, and Brighton will restart from their back line. Webster. Now it's Matt Ryan. Now Bissouma. Out to Webster again. Here's Trossard picking it up in the half space between the midfield and defense, but he is robbed of possession by Reece James. Great tackle by Bissouma here. Will force Havertz wide. Here's a cross from Reece James. It's deflected. Matt Ryan is able to catch this one. Opts against throwing it out quickly. We'll simply slow it down and try to restart play here for Brighton. 38 minutes on the clock. 7 minutes away from the end of regulation. Probably have at least 3 minutes of stoppage time due to injuries to Lamptey as well as Mope. As Lamptey now on the ball, but will mishit his pass towards Lallana, whose header will just go out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea. Alonso looking to restart this one. Throws it in towards Loftus-Cheek. His pass intended for Alonso, mishit, but does find Werner. The ensuing passes are picked off by Brighton, and they are able to come away with possession. It's Solly March. He's forced to retreat to Matt Ryan. Good pressure by Werner will force a clearance out of the Brighton goalkeeper, and the header is won by Reece James. Ball bouncing around between the two teams here in the air. It is eventually settled by March on the far touchline. He will look back towards Dunk, who finds Bissouma inside. Bissouma shifts it over to Ben White. He looks wide for Lamptey, who's under some quick pressure here from Mount. Is able to find Alzate in midfield, but Alzate forced back to White. Good pressure from Chelsea here. Closing down all of the passes very quickly. Brighton eventually forced to look long towards Mope. That will be cleared away by, I believe, Zuma there. But very confident in themselves to play out of the back here. Brighton not really looking for that long option, despite, again, very good pressure from this Chelsea side, as Lamptey pulling some moves out on the far touchline here is eventually challenged by Mount, and the ball will go back out for a throw-in. Looks for Mope here, does Lamptey, but his throw-in is simply headed out once again. This time by Jorginho. Lallana will restart it to Bissouma. Takes it confidently on the chest, but moves it back to Ben White. He will put a cross-field ball towards Adam Webster. His first touch is a little too long. It's almost picked off by Kai Havertz, but Solly March is able to collect it. He's forced back to Matt Ryan, who's under some pressure here from Werner, and is forced to spray this one out towards the touchline. Goes just over Lamptey's head, and it will be a throw-in for Chelsea here. So nicely done by Chelsea to sort of slow down the momentum that Brighton had, get into their defensive shape, and pressuring well against this Brighton back line in midfield. They now have possession, but it's taken away by March. He's fouled by Havertz. Referee almost thought about allowing play to continue, but will eventually call the foul. Now here's Lamptey. His pass is blocked by Alonso, but it ends up with Bissouma. Great pass out On the half volley to Solly March. March. Right around Havertz. Bad challenge there from the Chelsea midfielder. His eventual cross is blocked by Reece James. Finds its way back to March again. This time met with James. Good instincts there from Havertz. Picks off the pass intended for Alzate. Now trying to play out. It's poked off of him. But does find its way to Werner. Now Loftus-Cheek with some room to run. Werner on his left with Mason Mount further to the left-hand touchline. But the pass from Loftus-Cheek is poor. And it's deflected by Ben White, the sole defender between Loftus-Cheek and the goal for Brighton. And he is able to break up that attempt from Chelsea. Look at the replay here. Werner moves it forward to Loftus-Cheek nicely. It's just him and Ben White. Werner is ahead of all the other Brighton players on the left. But Loftus-Cheek makes a pretty obvious pass here and really doesn't get any purchase on it. White's able to see it the entire way, poke it away, and it ends up in Matt Ryan's hands. So a little indecisive and not enough purchase on that pass from Ruben Loftus-Cheek, but a decent opportunity there for Chelsea to run in behind Brighton. Chelsea now with it on the left-hand touchline. Moved slowly forward by Alonso. We're at 42 minutes in the half here. Just a couple more remaining in regulation. Again, I'd expect to see 3+ minutes of stoppage time here as both Lamptey and Mopé were down for extended periods during the half. Loftus-Cheek checking back in to pick up this pass from Conte. Reece James now has it. We'll look across the field for Alonso, and we have Lallana goes down under no pressure in midfield. Looks at the referee, has his head in his hands. This does not look good for Adam Lallana. Hopefully it's nothing bad here. He has had a pretty poor injury history. There's a couple of his teammates coming to check on him. Out comes the trainer here. Doesn't seem to be in that much pain, but again, with his injury track record, this could be something, minor niggling back up, or could be another injury in sort of the same location. He's rolling down his left sock here. It looks like he's taken the tape off as well of his shin guard, so do wish the best for Lallana here. Hope it's not too bad. It looks like he does expect to be substituted here. In the meantime, let's see. Nolan, I don't really know why Werner did it. I think you could have waited. There was a lot of uncertainty around COVID, and there's a chance you get injured. There's a lot of things that could have happened. I think at the end of the day, he was ready to move to Chelsea and just decided, let's just go ahead with it. And I do think if he could go back, it would be interesting to see what he would think if he could go back and do it again. Because I think maybe he could have made the decision under the wrong kind of circumstances or thoughts, but I would agree with you. I think he should have played that Champions League campaign with Leipzig. I don't think there was any reason for him to not. And so it'd be interesting to hear the thought processes around why that transfer was done early. Play does resume here. Lallana is forced to be substituted, unfortunately. So hoping for the best with that injury news to the attacking midfielder here. Just signed from Liverpool in the offseason for Brighton. But he is replaced by Adam Connolly, who will fill in at the attacking mid position. And play will resume. We have 4 minutes of stoppage time now. With that stoppage for Lallana. So just ticking past 45-30 here. We will see 3.5 more minutes of play at the end of the first half. Chelsea still leading 1-0 over Brighton on that penalty. Won by Timo Werner, converted by Jorginho. So here's Trossard. Drop deep to pick this one up. Nice crossfield pass. We'll pick out March. March looks up. Wants a cross here. Instead, goes inside of Havertz, but is met by Conte. Now Basuma at the top of the box. Out to Lamptey on the right. Lamptey alone with Marcos Alonso. Gets a left-footed cross out. Headed away by James, but only as far as Havertz still inside the Chelsea box. Eventually does get a bigger clearance out towards half here. It's collected by Webster. He'll look early to Dunk, who looks back towards Ben White. Ben White assessing his options here. 46 minutes and a half played here. Just a couple more remaining in extra time. Lamptey alone with Marcos Alonso will push this one by him. Gets a half step. Will get his cross off, but it's well read by Conte. Clears that one out towards the right touchline. It's collected by Mason Mount. Alonso now out to Mount. He's in behind Trossard, who has to cover the ground for Lamptey. Werner now alone with Ben White. 3 Chelsea players in the box. He'll drive to the left and tries a shot towards the near post. That one palmed away by Matt Ryan. Pretty surprising there. I think he almost caught the Brighton keeper out here as we watch the replay. Yeah, drives left, looks across initially. I'm not sure if he's trying to cross or shoot that one, but goes low to the near post, and Matt Ryan equal to the task, able to get his hand down and palm that one away for a Chelsea corner here. So 47 and a half minutes played. Just about a minute and a half left here as Chelsea move up the field for, I believe, the first time, as Reece James out to take this corner kick. Swung in from the right here. Headed out at the near post by Alzate. Met at the top of the box by Connolly. Attempted strike from Mount. He mishits it, but it comes out to James. Left-footed cross on the ground is cleared away for a Chelsea throw by Adam Webster. James will retreat back to his position as Marcos Alonso will trot over to take this throw in really no hurry here, as just a minute remaining in the first half. Alonso will throw this one into Werner, almost a little too far for him, but is able to get it back to Alonso. Now it's Jorginho, and looks like an offsides flag on Timo Werner there. Brighton will restart to Matt Ryan. He'll move it over to Adam Webster. Sorry, Lewis Dunk. Now Adam Webster. And Webster's pass finds Solly March. Almost goes out of play. Bissouma, under pressure midfield, is able to find Dunk. Matt Ryan. Now Ben White. Up the field for Lamptey. Lamptey has a runner. Looks for Mope. It's a pretty good pass here, but it's Trossard. Zuma a little bit faster than Trossard, is able to get there first and see that one out for a goal kick. And that should be the last action of the first half here. No whistle yet from the referee. So it just ticks over, and there is the halftime whistle. So the referee brings this one to a close. So at halftime, Chelsea leading Brighton and Hove Albion 1-0 on a penalty from Jorginho that won by new signing Timo Werner after a very, very poor mistake from Steven Alzate in possession for Brighton. So go into half 1-0 here. I'll see what happens in the second period. Okay, I'll pop out of broadcaster mode, so can just chat or ask questions or talk about the half. I think Chelsea's a little fortunate to be in the lead here. I think that was an interesting half. Chelsea had a good bit of possession. They never looked that dangerous. I think Werner looks lively. His runs in behind have been intelligent. I just don't think they've gotten the ball to him enough. Chelsea's playing a pretty defensive midfield 3 here. I'm interested to see what Lampard's doing here, because he's playing a 4-3-3 with Loftus-Cheek in the attacking mid role. Loftus-Cheek is not exactly what you would consider like a tried and true attacking mid. You know, you think a lot of like creative players, you think someone, you think kind of like, if you want the perfect mold, you kind of think like a Messi or like a David Silva, right? Someone of that nature who can sort of pick a pass, create an assist, create a goal, create a dangerous opportunity. Someone with a little bit of just sort of unpredictability and skill around them. And Loftus-Cheek is much more of a powerful player. He has some skill about him, but he's been played as a center forward for a long time, or at the very least a wide forward. So I kind of expected to see either Mount or Havertz, who are a little bit more creative, tuck inside, maybe switch with Loftus-Cheek, kind of have this sort of rotation going, because Werner is also a very dynamic player. He can make runs in behind, he can come back for possession, he can pretty much do it all, I would say. Super, super dynamic. So I expected to see like a lot of rotation coming from Chelsea's, striking four basically, and I really haven't seen it. It's kind of been particularly Havertz. I've barely called Havertz's name this entire game, and so I'd really like to see them rotate a lot more. I mean, again, it's early in the season. They're probably still working out how to go about it, what shape to play, who to play where, but there seems to be a little bit of lack of synergy here because again, Havertz isn't getting on the ball. They're not playing patterns really. They're not really rotating around position to check in. I don't see a lot of dynamism in their front line right now. Really, outside of Werner, I think Werner had a pretty decent first half. Obviously, the goal is kind of a, what can you do? Alzate made a terrible pass, terrible flat pass, easily picked off by Jorginho. He plays Werner and he gets fouled. It's a penalty. Like, it's just a bad mistake. You kind of wash your hands of that. There's no, structural reason you screwed that up. It's just a bad pass. But honestly, I think Brighton were probably slightly the better team in the first half. For the first 20 minutes, they were holding Chelsea at bay. The possession wasn't that Chelsea-sided, I would say. And then even after getting scored on, they were creating some chances. I mean, Trossard was dropping deep, was getting into some interplay with Solly March. Alzate still looked decent despite that mistake, was trying to keep his head up and get back in the game. Bissouma's been influential in possession. They haven't looked stretched by Chelsea, really. Lamptey's looked very energetic. I mean, I think both Lamptey and March have looked pretty energetic. So, I honestly think Brighton, while they're down, won't feel too bad about how that half went. I think the only thing they'll feel bad about is that they are down, right? But they look pretty decent. So, they're showing a couple of the chances here for Brighton. It's just a few more for them than there are for Chelsea. So, yeah, I would say Brighton. And here's a really good one. I forgot about this one. Lamptey's cross into Trossard should have been handled much, much better. So, be interesting to see how the second half goes. But I definitely think Brighton was slightly better of the two. Excuse me 1 second. But yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on the first half. I think Brighton was slightly better, but Chelsea do have the lead. So we'll see. I'm going to go grab some water and go to the restroom, and I'll be back. We can, if there are any questions or any more thoughts, we can chat about them. So I'll be right back, and this time I will not forget to unmute my mic. Thank you again, Kyle. Okay, mic unmuted. One other thing we could talk about here that's interesting is, so Chelsea have in the past played both three defenders or the 4-3-3. Again, I mentioned I'm a little intrigued by the fact that they played Ruben Loftus-Cheek as an attacking mid in this game. I think that's a bit weird. Do keep in mind that Chelsea are without Christian Pulisic, and Hakim Ziyech today. So I would expect that's why Loftus-Cheek is starting. Ziyech is still injured after being transferred from Ajax, and Pulisic injured himself in the FA Cup final at the end of last season. So he is still injured. Neither of them are even available on the subs bench. So Lampard is without two of his options. And so that may be why he threw Loftus-Cheek out there. But I'm still confused as to why he's playing Loftus-Cheek in attacking mid slot and not playing either Mount or Havertz there. Havertz and Mount seem to be much more natural fits for that position to me. And it's strange to me that he would want Loftus-Cheek to be there unless, again, they're doing this sort of dynamic rotation, checking in for the ball, which I haven't seen. So that in itself is interesting. And also it's interesting that he picked this lineup against what he would expect was a 3-5-2. I think he probably expected a 3-5-2 from Brighton. And 3-5-2 is tough to play against with 3-4-3, or sorry, 4-3-3, unless you are really punishing them, on sort of the weak side or wide. Because, with those three defenders, there's one argument that says, if it's just Werner up top, you have like an extra defender up there that you don't really need. You only need two guys to really mark Werner, which is kind of true. But Mount's staying high enough that you can account for that. But if there's only one there, then kind of both of the outside wide backs can get involved basically in like midfield pressuring and cutting angles to passes. They basically don't have to worry about someone running in the channel behind them, right? Like, in Discord. Okay. Getting some tips here, chat. There we go. Oh. Okay, I think that should do it. Let me know if that one worked out, Kyle. But yeah, so it's interesting that, so the outside wingbacks don't really have to worry about Mount. Really, like, they can see who their players are, right? Like, Lamptey and Solly March both know that if, say, Mount runs in behind them or Havertz runs in behind them, they have another defender to cover for them. So they really, can defend them, but they can also kind of let them run if the communication's good. So they can help in the midfield. And it's really hard for Chelsea to win the midfield because they're basically playing against 1.5 extra players in midfield at any given time, unless their wide guys are dropping in inside. And so I think that's why we've seen some of these plays for Brighton at the end of the second half where they're able to kind of combine through Chelsea's, because they have a lot of players in there. Trossard even drops deep. And there's some element of control from their midfield. So it's interesting how this tactically plays out, because the way you'd want to break it down is to try to have Alonso and Reece James really actively try to get up the field and engage and help out. And Alonso's not really quick enough to do it. They can both cross, but that's kind of the only thing both of them do super well. Like, James is fast. He's still developing his sort of instincts as an overlapping defender, and he can cross. But those two aren't gonna punish Solly March and Lamptey for playing high or helping the midfield. So it's been a little interesting to me to see how that Lampard selected this. I don't think it's worked particularly well in the first half, and I think the lead, the 1-0 lead, is sort of it's kind of going to be like a phantom encouragement, like, oh yeah, we're winning, it's fine. Like, I don't really think it is. I don't think it's worked super well. I think it's worked well for Brighton. So we'll see if he does anything about that. As some of the people in chat already know, I have some questions about Lampard's actual tactical ability as a manager. I think he wasn't left with a lot of tough decisions last year and didn't have a lot of pressure on him, and it worked out well. I have a lot of questions about how he manages now such a robust, talented squad as the year goes on. So I'm interested to see if he kind of recognizes maybe some of the issues with this system or has a solution for it, at least as it is against the 3-5-2 right now. So be interesting to see what the second half has. It should be coming up here soon. So I'm just going to write in chat when the second half starts. I'll just write that the second half is starting, because I think I said this while I was muted, but I still am having an issue with my timer where I don't know how to perfectly create a count-up timer for soccer. If you look at like streamers, like reaction streamers like Mark Goldbridge for Man United, they have this like nice 90-minute count-up timer with like stoppage time and everything. I just haven't quite figured out how to do it yet. So if anyone out there knows how to do it or knows someone that does, please message me. But in lieu of that, I'm just going to do 45 minutes again so that we know like this is where we are in the half, but I'll just note that this is the second half. Okay. I'm also interested to see that Jorginho took the penalty, actually. I don't know how many Timo Werner took last season, but I know Jorginho's a good penalty taker for sure. So I guess I'm not like super surprised, but when you get signed for a big money like that, you typically like and you're a striker, you typically try to take on penalty duties. Okay. Second half is starting up here. I'm going to get the timer synced up, and then I'll be in broadcasting mode, and I'll join you guys at full time for final thoughts. So thanks again for tuning in, and here we go. All right, and second half play will resume here with Chelsea on the ball. Christensen will spray this one out wide to Marcos Alonso. Now it's inside with Jorginho. He tries to look forward to Mason Mount, but his pass is picked off. It does end up back at Alonso's feet. He will try to play this one across the field, but this one is picked off by Webster. Webster tries to play an outside of the foot pass into the path of Neal Maupay, but will mishit that one. It will go out for a throw-in. And Chelsea will move it back towards Kepa. He will clear it long, but it will be collected here by Solly March now. March working well up this left touchline, gets in behind James. Here's the cross into Maupay, who's open at the near post. Sorry, that's Connolly. But Connolly can't get his shot on target, and that one hits the side netting and goes out for a goal kick. This is excellent work by Solly March here, riding challenges from Loftus-Cheek and James. His cross picks out Connolly, but the pace on it's so fast that I don't think Connolly expected it to get there that quickly, and he can't shape his body to get that one on target, and instead it hits the side netting right next to him. So excellent chance here for Brighton right at the beginning of the second half, and quite unfortunate that they weren't able to get a shot on target at the least. Now Lamptey finds himself back on it, but it's won by Loftus-Cheek here at the top of the box, but his pass once again is a little bit lazy. It's deflected and ends up in Matt Ryan's hands. He will throw this one out for Solly March, who looks up the field early, finds a run from Connolly with two defenders for company, tries to hold off James, does a nice job, keeps it in play, and James will knock it out for a throw-in. Just a reminder with the timer, we are in second half play here. As March will restart this one. Great turn from Alzate. Now at the top of the box. Inside the box to Connolly. His shot is blocked by Christensen. And it will come all the way out to Tariq Lamptey, who will play it back to White. White now clips this one up towards Mope. Zuma will get his head on it. Finds Alonso, who clears this one all the way back to Lewis Dunk. He'll shift this one over to Webster, and Brighton will restart from their own half. Very positive start to this second half for Brighton. They've looked good. They've looked energetic in these first couple of minutes already, with a very good chance and another dangerous opportunity as Connolly able to get possession inside the box. Great crossfield pass from Webster will find Lamptey. Lamptey one-on-one here with Alonso. Here's Mount now helping, but he's going to go through both of them. Here's the shot from Lamptey. It goes straight off of Zuma. I believe he took that one in a pretty precarious position. Yes, he's holding. He's holding the special place, the place none of us ever want to get hit. But this is wonderful play from Tariq Lamptey, and the shot is on target. It's a little bit greedy at the end to take a shot. He's at a bit of a tough angle as Lamptey. He has a couple players in the box, but you can't blame him after so easily breezing by both Alonso and Mason Mount there. They're coming back to try to help Alonso defend. So excellent play there from Lamptey. Just unfortunate that he wasn't able to get that shot past Zuma or find one of his teammates for a cross. So Zuma still down on the ground, certainly winded here after blocking that shot from Lamptey that was hit with a lot of power. Very brave of Zuma to throw his body in the way there. It was very good defending. Is still recovering, is now finally getting back to his feet. Is a corner for Brighton. From the right-hand side will be Solly March taking this with his left foot, swinging it in towards Kepa here. Referee's ready. Here comes the corner kick. It's short this time, headed away by Zuma. Headed back in by Connolly. Trossard tries to get it back out to March, is able to do so. Now it's with Trossard. Alzate. His pass splits both Mope and March there, and we'll go out for a Chelsea throw-in. Now here's Kai Havertz, flicks this one back, but puts Jorginho in a tough spot. He has to turn and try to clear it, but can't do so. Trossard picks it up. He'll find Bissouma. Now Trossard and Bissouma, but Mope not on the same page as his other two teammates, and that one is turned over. Now here comes Mount with a little bit of room to run. We'll pick out Werner. Comes back to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Reece James is available on the far right here as Havertz has come infield to try to get possession. James retreats here to pick the ball up from Christensen. Good pressure from Brighton as they recover into their defensive stance. And now it is in the Chelsea defensive line. Finds Marcos Alonso now up to Werner. Sorry, that's Mount. Mount tries to flick one in behind, but it's well read by Dunk and won well by Bissouma against Jorginho there. Alzate comes away with it, and now it's with March on the left-hand side. Webster going to cross this one all the way to Lamptey once again. This time, two defenders out to meet Lamptey before he can get ahead of steam. Trossard tries to get him in behind. Lamptey doing a nice job, pokes it off of Alonso, but Conte is there to calmly take it off of Mope's feet. So it will be cleared away by Chelsea in the direction of Mason Mount, but he will not get there first as Ben White will collect, and now it's with Webster once again. Matt Ryan out to White. Bissouma dropping deep to get possession. Shift it past Loftus-Cheek and we'll move out to Webster. Webster has had a couple nice crossfield passes over to Tariq Lamptey. We'll simply keep it short to Ben White. This time White will look up the field into the channel for Mope, but it is a little bit overhit, and Kepa is alert, comes out of his box, or comes off his line to pick that one up just inside the corner of the 18-yard box. Chelsea restarting now. Reece James. Jorginho out to Kai Havertz. Havertz moves infield and completely mishits his pass intended for Marcos Alonso there. Sprays it wide left, and that one will go out for a throw-in. So maybe some nerves on the debut for Kai Havertz here. That was uncharacteristically poor there from the new Chelsea signee. Meanwhile, Lamptey will win another throw here. Sorry, that one will actually be a Chelsea throw. So it comes off of Trossard last on the far touchline. Here is Marcos Alonso. Trying to find an option here. Will look long. Picks out Loftus-Cheek. That's poked off of him. Will be another Chelsea throw. So moving slowly up the touchline here as Alonso looking for another option. 53 minutes on the clock. Brighton certainly looking the livelier of the two teams at the beginning of the second half. And here they come again, winning back possession from Bissouma again. Here's Mopé out to Trossard. He's met by Alonso, looks inside to Lamptey. Lamptey to Bissouma, has two players pressuring him, and that one's poked off of him by Jorginho. One back well by Alzate, who slips but is able to get his pass to Solly March. Now in behind for Mopé, has Zuma for company. Now March again. Alzate to Bissouma. Bissouma driving inside. Slip at the top of the box by Mason Mount. Out wide to Lamptey. Lamptey against Alonso. Trossard takes a shot from the top of the box, and he scores! A goal for Leandro Trossard from the top of the box, and this game is tied. Beautiful strike from Leandro Trossard. Chelsea making the mistake of not closing down a Brighton player at the top of the 18-yard box once again, and this time they are made to punt it, or they are made to pay for it as Trossard punishing them with a beautiful finish on his left foot, curling that one into the far corner, just past an outstretched Kepa here. Lamptey playing this one back, and you can see Mount sucked in, does not get out quickly to Trossard, and Trossard absolutely rips this one, puts his laces through it. It goes straight into that bottom right corner past Kepa, who saved a similar shot from Alzate in the first half. Unable to get his hand to this one, and Brighton get the goal that they deserved for their play at the beginning of the second half and the end of the first half. We have a tie game here between Brighton and Chelsea as we move into the 55th minute of play. Chelsea restarting now. It's with Zuma out to Marcos Alonso. He's met by Trossard. Back to Zuma, now into Conte. Conte, good pass out to Mount. Finds Alonso on the wing. Lamptey's a little bit late getting there, but will recover. Mount is forced back. Jorginho looks across to Reece James, who's in the midfield slot here. He's going to take a shot from the 18. Reece James with a pile driver! Oh my word, what an incredible goal from Reece James! A 30-yard strike into the upper right 90. Unsavable by Matt Ryan, and just like that, it's 2-1 Chelsea. This is an incredible strike from Reece James. He picks this one up in the midfield slot, about 30 out, takes a great first touch out to his right-hand side and unloads from about 25 yards here and just buries this in the upper V. The top right 90, absolutely no chance for Matt Ryan. I don't think there's a goalkeeper in the world that saves that one. An absolute pile driver from the Chelsea right back. And Reece James gives his team the lead once again. We have seen a couple of good goals here in the last couple of minutes. Trossard's was an excellent strike, but that from Reece James is absolutely world-class. That is a strike that is on the goal of the month reels, may even make some goal of the season reels. What an incredible strike from the young Chelsea defender here. It's Brighton now chasing the game once again. We'll move this one out to Solly March. We'll clip this one up the line. It's collected by Adam Connolly, but poked off of him by Christensen. Well defended there by Andreas Christensen. It will be a goal kick to Chelsea. That is a strike we will be talking about for some time from Reece James here on opening day of the Premier League season for Chelsea, giving his team the lead in the 56th minute just after they had conceded from the equalizer from Leandro Trossard. And so again, Brighton have certainly been the better of the two teams in this second half. So James's goal, absolutely massive for the momentum for this Chelsea side. Really takes the wind out of the sails here for Brighton, who had been so positive and had finally gotten their equalizer. And they will have to come again and try to find a way to get back to equal footing with Chelsea. Just a couple minutes away from the hour mark here. Trossard standing over this free kick committed by Jorginho. He will go short to Bissouma. Now out to Alzate. Alzate tries to shift past Jorginho. He will do so successfully and will find Lamptey. One-on-one now with Conte. Decides not to go at him. Instead goes to Trossard, who crosses deep. Wide open at the back post is Dunk, and he misses! An incredible miss here from the captain, Lewis Dunk. He is absolutely unmarked at the back post. Picked out beautifully by Leandro Trossard. And somehow he has not scored. And you would bet your house, your mortgage, your everything on Lewis Dunk to put that one away. Such a threat in the air. Such a quality header of the ball. And wide open at the back post. A beautiful cross from Leandro Trossard. And from 3 yards out, captain of Brighton, Lewis Dunk, puts this one wide. And the game remains 2-1 in favor of Chelsea. So from a miraculous goal to a miraculous miss, and Brighton still trailing 2-1 here. As just a couple seconds left until we tick over to that hour mark. They do have another free kick here. And once again, they have looked to be the better of the two sides, particularly in this second half here. If they can keep their heads high and continue to push forward, it does appear that there are goals left in this game, although this cross from Bissouma will find no one and will dribble harmlessly out for a goal kick. Chelsea now preparing their first substitution of the match. Ross Barkley is up here. My guess is would likely be replacing Ruben Loftus-Cheek in that attacking midfield position. Reminder that Brighton have already had to commit one of their substitutions, as Adam Lallana went off injured in the first half and was replaced by Adam Connolly. So now both teams with two subs remaining, as Barkley will be subbed now. We have just crossed 60 minutes, and yet he will be coming on for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Don't expect any formation change. Should just be going into that 10 role just ahead of N'Golo Kanté and Jorginho. So Barkley is in, Loftus-Cheek is out, and Kepa has restarted the game, booting this one long towards the newly introduced Barkley. Will be won by Lamptey and collected by Trossard, who's pressured by two Chelsea players and does lose out here. And Barkley clipped down here. Play will continue as Mount open on the left-hand side now, trying to find an opportunity. He cuts back past Trossard, but Lamptey is there to poke it off of him. Brighton will come away with the ball. They're looking long for Mopé. Can't quite get that one through Andreas Christensen, and Chelsea now in possession once again. Jorginho looking forward. Here's a run from Conte. It's well read by Dunk. The header's won by Conte, but too soft, and Solly March will collect. He's pressured by Havertz here, but is able to get his clearance up the line for a Chelsea throw-in. We'll restart with Andreas Christensen. Now back to Zuma. Here is Marcos Alonso. Met by Trossard. Be forced back to Zuma. Zuma with a crossfield pass towards Reece James. Collects on his chest, but is immediately pressured by March. Forced back to Christensen. He's forced back to Kepa. Some good pressure here from Brighton. Kepa surveys his options. Will force a Brighton player to come forward, but will boot it long towards Ross Barkley, who loses out to Lewis Dunk. Webster will move this one back to Matt Ryan, who finds Ben White. Here's Bissouma. Good clip pass over to Solly March. Plays inside for Webster. Webster, long pass out towards Lamptey. This one will knock it over Alonso's head. It will be collected by Mason Mount, who has some room to run. Bissouma's in front of him. Lamptey has recovered now, and Barkley will simply pass it back to Marcos Alonso. Now back into Barkley. Here's Mount. And back to Zouma. Chelsea seem to be a little happier just to keep possession here. Working that 2-1 lead. Trying to wait for the right opportunity to go in behind this Brighton defense. Christensen, long crossfield pass, will pick out Alonso. Alonso with some room now. Go inside to Barkley. His turn is successful. Does have Trossard on his back. Now it's Conte. Havertz. Havertz out wide to James. Good overlap here. The cross is good. Werner with a backheel flick, but it's blocked by Lewis Dunk and will be cleared away by Webster for a Chelsea throw. Decent play here from Chelsea. Very patient from this side. Able to move it from the right to the left all the way back over to Kai Havertz, who waits for Reece James's overlap. And James with a pretty good cross picks out Timo Werner there, but Werner's effort is blocked by Lewis Dunk. Here's a great turn from Barkley off the throw, but met by Dunk well. Crosses towards the top of the box. Here's a shot from Kai Havertz, but pressure from Alzate forced him to slide for that shot and didn't get the contact he wanted. That ball skewing wide. Looks like there was an offsides in the build-up anyway. So Brighton will have possession once again. So we look back at this Trossard goal. It's a really nice strike from Trossard there. Looking at a couple replays, you think maybe Kepa could do a little better, but is a difficult strike to get. He does get a lot of power and accuracy onto that one. Does Brighton have this now on a throw-in on the left-hand side? Here is Conte. Now it's Alonso. Now here is Jorginho. A little bit better here from Chelsea. Another overlap from James and a cross blocked by Solly March is out for a corner kick. And now in the last couple of minutes, Chelsea with some momentum here, getting James up that right touchline. Couple crosses have come in from him, and they're rewarded with a corner kick here. James will collect this one. He'll be taking the corner from the right-hand side. It will be an outswinging corner kick here. James to deliver with his right foot. Will look towards the middle area. Finds Kurt Zouma. Deflection will go in. How did that ball go in for a goal? There must have been a deflection as Matt Ryan is caught diving to his left. And the shot from Zouma very weakly dribbles across the line, and somehow, after this corner, Chelsea lead 3-1 on 66 minutes. So we take another look at this one. Here comes the ball from James. Zouma, yeah, it is a deflection off of Webster. So the ball is behind Zouma. He has to reach to shoot it. And he just gets some contact on it. It goes right towards Webster. And the defender just reacts a little bit slowly. Can't quite get enough on the ball, and instead it just barely deflects off of his right foot. It wrong foots Matt Ryan, who's diving to his left to try to save that one. And with Matt Ryan unable to shift his balance, that one dribbles across the goal line for Chelsea's third goal of the evening. And that one is a heartbreaker there for Brighton. A really unfortunate goal to concede, to go down 2 here, and now under the cosh to try to get back into this match. Just 23 minutes remaining for them to get 2 goals to get anything out of it. They will come again, though. Here is Solly March on the left-hand touchline. Has to stop and wait for his team to get up the field. Does eventually pass back to Webster. Now it's Alzate. Solly March again. Webster and Trossard. Trossard pressured by Jorginho. He's forced all the way back, but continues his dribble and actually finds a nice ball into Alzate. He'll go wide to Lamptey. He's one-on-one with Marcos Alonso here. Does an early cross, but misses his target there. It's poked away by Jorginho. And now wide with Alonso, but his wayward pass goes out for a throw-in here. Lamptey will take it quickly in for Ben White. It's back for Lewis Dunk. Trossard with a flicked pass attempt goes poorly. Ends up at the feet of Barkley. Fortunately for Trossard, Lewis Dunk cleans up behind him, and now Bissouma lofting this one over the top towards Mopé in a foot race with James. He will lose out. Sorry, that's Connolly. And James will collect possession here. We'll look back towards Kepa. Zuma has it now. We'll go wide to Alonso. Alonso playing with Mason Mount, but it comes back to Jorginho all the way to Kepa now. Pressured by Mopé. Here is Connolly pressuring Christensen. Forced to clear it. Good collection by Havertz. He's able to keep it in play, but eventually will go out. The throw-in is for Brighton here, so good defending by Webster. March will restart it here. Oh, great tackle here from N'Golo Kante. Now there's room to work for Barkley. He's met by Dunk, forced wide. Here's Mount. Marcos Alonso overlapping. His cross is blocked by Lamptey, and the ball actually stays in play. Mount able to collect it once again, but now all the Brighton players have recovered. Adam Connolly here to pressure Reece James. Now Lamptey. Good play here from Conte. Finds James out wide. Now out to Havertz. Havertz with no real options in front of him. Goes back to James. All the way back to Christensen. Here's Alonso now on the left-hand side. Inside to Barkley. Barkley tries to turn. It's poked off him by Bissouma. There's some room to work for Brighton here. Mopé going to pick out Trossard. Has one player in the box. We'll look for that player. It's Connolly, but it's poked away by Christensen. Excellent defending there from the Chelsea center back, and Zuma will regain possession into Jorginho now. Here's Alonso. Werner poked off of that one immediately by Dunk. Trossard looks inside for Mopé. Great defending from N'Golo Kante. Goes around the Brighton striker to poke that one back to Kepa here. So 70 minutes on the clock, 20 minutes remaining for Brighton to try to get a couple of goals, get themselves back in a position to at least pull a point out of this game. One in which they have played very well for multiple spells. Kepa will go long for the restart. It's Mount and Lamptey fighting for possession. Mount will come away with it. He's met by Dunk. Excellent sliding tackle in midfield. And now March has some room to run. Moves this one up the left side. Eventually, N'Golo Kante confronts him. He's forced to cross all the way back to Lamptey. There are two defenders in front of Lamptey right away. Trossard with his head up. Tries to pick out Mopé, but it's deflected by Alonso. Trossard now versus Alonso. Cannot dribble by him. Alonso will take possession back. His attempted clearance comes off of Trossard. It's collected by Jorginho and finally booted away. But the header down from Ben White finds Bissouma. His pass is deflected. Will end up with Mason Mount. There's Havertz. Reece James now. Back to Christensen. Here's Zuma. Going wide. We'll pick out Alonso. Alonso inside now to Jorginho. Chelsea happy to bide their time here, really pick out the right opportunity. Jorginho finds it with Reece James up the touchline on the far right side. Now N'Golo Kante and Werner playing between each other. It's crossed all the way over to Alonso. A lot of Chelsea shirts in the box here. It's wide to, I believe, Havertz, but he loses out to Lamptey, who wins the challenge. Sorry, that is Mount, and Lamptey able to keep possession. It's with Trossard now. Tries to clip it off of a Chelsea player. It ends up with Mope, who is absolutely bungled over there by Zuma. That will be a foul, and Brighton can move themselves out of their own half now. So they will restart this one with Lewis Dunk, now Webster. Dunk again. Webster. Not a lot of movement in front of them. Now being closed down by Werner as Webster. Werner gets a deflection onto the pass back from Webster, but Matt Ryan is there. His clearance only as far as Jorginho, and now it's up with Mason Mount. Mount is able to turn, looks inside for Barkley. Now Jorginho. Outside to Havertz. Great challenge here from Solly March. And he is away now. Has Adam Connolly in front of him. 2 Chelsea defenders with 2 right behind him. And it's disappointing from Solly March. As he picks his head up to try to see if he can pass to Connolly, loses control of his dribble. And that allows Havertz to recover from behind him and poke that one away. It's unfortunate there, as there was a lot of ground that March could run into, but just took him a little bit too long to find the right option and eventually lost a little bit of control there. So now it is with Christensen. Cleared away by Kepa. Won well by Lewis Dunk, collected by Bissouma. Alzate, a miscommunication with Bissouma, but is a foul called by Barkley onto Bissouma. Brighton will restart this one. It's wide with Lamptey. He goes straight past Mount, but Mount fortunately has Alonso behind him. Alonso will clear that one out for a Brighton throw. So we're just a few seconds away from 75 minutes here. Brighton's substitution getting ready on the near touchline here. See Graham Potter giving instructions. Solly March going to breeze by Kai Havertz here. Will clip this one towards the back post. It doesn't quite escape Alonso. His header only goes as far as Lamptey. Lamptey trying to dust Mason Mount. Goes for the nutmeg. Doesn't quite work out. It does go out for a Brighton throw-in. Here's Bissouma. Harried by Ross Barkley. Some good combination play will get the ball to Lewis Dunk. Picks out Webster. Moving it wide to March. March with Reece James defending him. Is forced back to Webster. Now inside to Trossard, who's dropped deep to pick this one up. Out with March. Can't quite play a 1-2 with Alzate. It's deflected by Jorginho. And now with Conte. Tries to play Barkley. Barkley is away with some room to run. Timo Werner off to his right. Mason Mount trying to get into the picture to the left. Plays it short to Werner. Werner has a shooting opportunity, but his shot is blocked. Excellent defending there by, I believe, Ben White. Werner with some good movement and timing along with Ross Barkley. Gets his shot away, but it is blocked by the Brighton defender at the last breath here. Yeah, good play from Barkley. Patiently tries to get White sucked in. Decent first touch from Werner, sets himself up, but White recovering admirably there, able to slide and get a piece of that shot. He's now struggling a little bit, trying to get on his feet, but limping on that left-hand leg. May have just taken it off the toe or something at full stretch and maybe feeling the effects of that Werner shot. He will attempt to walk this one off, as Chelsea do have a corner here. Reece James out to take this one. Fakes a short corner here, decides against it, and will go back into the box. This one headed away at the near post by Bissouma. Charged down by Connolly, but Conte gets there first. It's now with James again. Deep cross from the right is deflected by Alzate and ends up in the hands of Matt Ryan. 77 minutes now on the clock. Just about 13 remaining for Brighton to try to find something. Try to find a goal to give them a ray of light. A way back into this match. This ball from Solly March will not connect with Adam Connolly. It will simply dribble into Kepa's hands, and Chelsea now with possession once again. Zuma inside to Jorginho. Jorginho out to Barkley. Barkley is bungled over by Bissouma. That will be a foul on the Brighton midfielder. Chelsea will be happy to eat some time off this clock and move this one up the field, as it looks like the last two substitutions for Brighton will be coming on here. It looks like Ben White will be sacrificed for an attacking player, along with Steven Alzate. So Jahanbakhsh is on for Alzate. That is a striker in there for a central midfielder, and White still struggling a little bit, favoring this right-hand side, will be coming off as well. And Pascal Gross will be coming on for Brighton. So two very attacking substitutions here for Graham Potter to try to get his team back into this match, try to get something in the next few minutes here, give them a chance to try to level this one at 3. Jahanbakhsh and Gross now on. Chelsea have restarted. It's with Reece James. Into Jorginho now with James again. Finds Havertz, who goes for a nutmeg. Does not get that one to go, but it does bounce off of Gross for a Chelsea throw-in. Now Chelsea making their second substitution. Callum Hudson-Odoi will be coming on here as Kai Havertz is withdrawn. So that is the end of Havertz's debut here for Chelsea. Maybe not the dream start he had imagined. No goals or assists today. We'll certainly see a lot more of him this season. Meanwhile, Connolly taking a shot from the top of the box here. Doesn't quite get the power he wants behind it, and it ends up being a pretty easy save there for Kepa. Yeah, it's a nice 1-2 between him and Jahanbakhsh. Tries to use Christensen as a shield, blocking Kepa's vision to fire off a quick shot, but never quite gets the power on it that he needs to beat the keeper from 19 yards or so. Ooh, a pretty poor challenge here from Lamptey. This should be a yellow card for the Brighton right back here. Trying to nick this one off of Ross Barkley. Goes over to apologize. So we take a look at the replay here. Barkley let's take a bit of a big touch inside, but yeah, Lamptey just trying to get anything here, but never having a good body position. Tackling from behind Barkley and kind of slices that leg across him. Definitely a yellow card foul there, and Lamptey will go into the book. I believe that is the first yellow card we've seen here tonight. Chelsea have restarted. It's with Jorginho now. Dribbles nicely past Bissouma. Good clipped pass over the top, but Dunk is aware and alert, and we'll get to this one first. Matt Ryan, Dunk, and Webster playing amongst themselves, and now Lamptey, closed down by Mount, will be forced back to Dunk. Not a whole lot of places to go with this Chelsea pressure, but they do end up playing across to Webster. Brighton very confident playing out of the back here. They have been most of the match. As you see Pascal Gross now taking up this deep position to try to facilitate possession. Is still with Matt Ryan, who will bring it out. Chelsea still has a lot of players up the field trying to pressure this, trying to keep Brighton from playing out, but they will not do so as Lamptey finds a gap in behind Mason Mount, who looks absolutely gassed here on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, his pass is cut out by Zuma for Connolly. Good tackle here by Bissouma, though, in midfield, wins it back. Now out wide here for Trossard. His cross will be met by Marcus Alonso and headed away. Barkley goes over the top of Lamptey to win this header. This Bissouma is down on the ground, but it is collected by Dunk. It's now back into Bissouma. Gross puts this one way out to Trossard, out on the left touchline. Has March for support. looks inside instead, and the timing could not have been worse as Trossard's cross bounces into Solly March, making an underlap there just inside of him, and will bounce out for a goal kick. So 82 minutes now into the second half. We have just 8 minutes or so of regulation. Really more so closer to 7 here. As Kepa taking a long time to get this one restarted, and now Jorginho down on the turf here, potentially dealing with either exhaustion or cramp. Should see a good bit of added time at the end of this match. We've had a couple of knocks in this half. A card to Lamptey recently. Now now Jorginho down. Do expect to see at least 2 minutes of stoppage time, probably closer to 3 at this point. But Graham Potter probably looking around and wondering how his team got into this position. If you look back at the performance, have to be happy with a lot of the play that Brighton has had, but just some unfortunate circumstances for a lot of the Chelsea goals. First, a terrible mistake by Alzate, pounced upon by Jorginho and Timo Werner, resulting in that penalty. The second goal, an absolute screamer from Reece James, an absolute world-class finish, one that we'll be seeing on highlight reels for probably a good portion of this Premier League season. Just happening today on Chelsea's first game of the season. So you have that screamer go by you for 2, and then just a very fortunate third goal, a very weak shot from Kurt Zouma off of a corner kick, deflects perfectly off of Adam Webster's foot, and wrong foots Matt Ryan, allowing it to dribble over the line for the third. So Graham Potter probably wondering what they could have done better to avoid some of these things, as his team has played pretty well tonight throughout most of the match here. And looks like Jorginho cannot continue after that one. So Cesar Azpilicueta will come on for Jorginho. We'll go out to right back here. Looks like they will move Reece James into the holding midfield position as this one is restarted. Ball bouncing around here between players before finally being won by Marcos Alonso. He will find Timo Werner, whose first touch gets away from him a little bit and is forced to try to slide to save it, but that one goes across the line for a throw-in. Bissouma now. Back to Lewis Dunk. We'll move this one out to Solly March. Trossard now sitting further out on the left here than central, and tries to get picked out by, I believe, Webster there with a driven ball up the line, but had cut his run short after not receiving it initially. So that one will carry out for a goal kick here. 85 minutes now gone, so just about 10 minutes maybe remaining for Brighton to try to even this match. Chelsea leading 3-1. See Frank Lampard looking out across the pitch. His substitutions have been made as well, so nothing more for the managers to do from the touchlines. Have to look for the players to close this one out. So foul committed here by Ross Barkley will result in a Brighton free kick in their own defensive end. Be restarted quickly, and Lewis Dunk, Solly March now. March has dropped a lot deeper here into what looks like a more traditional back four. You can see Tariq Lamptey still very high, but it looks like they are now in a full 4-3-3 here with Bissouma, Pascal Gross playing as the midfield pivots, Johan Bosch playing in front of them, Trossard out on the left. Here's March looking up, try to pick out Adam Connolly, does so, but Connolly's touch gets away from him. It's taken off and ends up with Cesar Azpilicueta. N'Golo Kanté just barely gets a touch in there. Good combination out to Alonso. Alonso up the line now. Mason Mount is held up by Lamptey. Now it's N'Golo Kanté. Good pass into Alonso. Oh, and well worked here by Alonso. And Kanté has some room to run. Moving towards Webster. He's met by Pascal Gross. Eventually settles for passing back to James. It's now out to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Odoi overlaps by Azpilicueta. That cross is blocked. Odoi has it again. Hudson-Odoi out to Azpilicueta. Two of them passing between each other, waiting for options. It goes inside to Kanté. Kanté back to Zouma. Out to Marcos Alonso. 87 minutes now on the clock. Here's Barkley. Barkley's pass is poor. It's picked off in midfield by Gross. Good slipped pass through the midfield line, but Andres Christensen just able to get in there and pick that one off before it arrived at the feet of Adam Connolly. That attack is broken up. Decent effort there by Pascal Gross. He's now forced to retreat towards Callum Hudson-Odoi, who looks across the field. Excellent touch here by Mason Mount. He's able to turn, looks for Werner. Werner resets it. We'll just find N'Golo Kante. Now it's Mount, Barkley, Kante. Chelsea pinging this one around the attacking third. Hudson-Odoi alone now with March. March pokes it off him, but it ends up with Azpilicueta. Reece James. Christensen to Zuma. Closed down by Connolly. Poor pass from Zuma. Good pressure from Connolly. Will be a Brighton throw here. 88 minutes gone. 2 minutes remaining in regulation with a few minutes stoppage time to follow. Brighton needs something to happen very, very soon to have any hopes of leveling this match. But a poor pass from Trossard gets Gross into trouble. He's just able to get out of it. He's back with Ryan now. Now Webster. Good pass into Johan Bosch. Johan Bosch looks wide for Lamptey. Sliding challenge from Alonso. Will go out for a throw-in to Brighton. Go back to Webster here. 89 minutes now. Lewis Dunk. Both Basuma. Oh, great turn from Basuma initially, but slips there. Very unfortunate, and that one's turned over. Now some room to work here for Werner. Going to go outside to Kante. Kante clips the cross, but doesn't quite get enough on it. It's cleared away by Dunk, collected by Trossard, and a foul called on the onrushing Mason Mount for clipping Lewis Dunk as he was clearing that one away. Will be a free kick here to Brighton, essentially just a goal kick. Gross has it. Looks back to Webster. Inside to Johan Bosch. Johan Bosch out to Trossard, but his pass is poor and it escapes. Trossard out for a Chelsea throw, and we have reached the 90-minute mark here. Keep you updated as to the amount of stoppage time. There will be 4 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this match. So 4 more minutes for Brighton as Chelsea try to close this one out. Well defended here by James on the far touchline. Trossard loses out. This one now at the feet of Dunk after Chelsea clear their lines. Matt Ryan. Here's Gross retreating. Picks this one up. Looks to Johan Bosch. Good first touch by him. This one outside to Lamptey. Lamptey surveying his options, looking for the right cross. Instead just looks for Johan Bosch. It's back to Webster. Now Dunk. Here's March. A lot of Brighton players in the box. This one flicked into Mope. He has 2 players defending him, and his pass is poor. It's picked off by Barkley. He's fouled by March, but play will continue as Werner has come away with possession. Werner now plays back, forces Alonso to slide, but Alonso does well, gets it to N'Golo Kante. Now it's back with Alonso. He'll reset it to Zuma. Look to clear this one. Header won by Barkley, but collected by Pascal Gross. It's March now. Exchanges passes with Trossard. Now it's Basuma. Lamptey. Lamptey underlapping here as Johan Bosch looks for a lofted cross, but that one is blocked by Mount. Alonso's clearance will not actually go out of play. It will be collected by Basuma. His backwards pass evades Lewis Dunk, but will go all the way to Matt Ryan. Just 2 minutes remaining now in the extra time. Good pass into Johan Bosch. Basuma going to clip this one across for Trossard. That one bounces just agonizingly away from Trossard there. Cannot quite collect that one. It will go out for a goal kick. And that should just about do it here for Chelsea. A minute and a half remaining for them to seal their first victory of this Premier League season. A couple of their new signings able to make their debuts today. Kepa taking his time for this goal kick will knock this one long. Headers won by Webster, who will be given a foul on Barkley, kind of stepping across his path as he went to get it. 93 minutes now on the clock, just a minute remaining in this match. Brighton will throw everyone forward, just Basuma and Gross behind the ball with Solly March as an option out to the left. They will look for Solly March. He will boot this one into the box towards Johan Bosch. Headers won by Alonso. It's out towards Lamptey. Lamptey cuts back well, has 3 defenders around him, tries to beat Alonso. His back heel does not connect with Johan Bosch. Be collected by Chelsea. Conte will bring it out. Will find Barkley. Now out to Werner. Some room to run. Has Webster for company. Looks across, cuts it back, plays to Barkley. Barkley going to shoot from 25. It's easily saved by Matt Ryan. But with time running out here, he will roll it out to Pascal Gross. Move it to Johan Bosch. Time for maybe one more chance for Brighton. But as it ticks over 94, the referee will blow the final whistle and Chelsea will run out of this first match for them in the Premier League. 3-1 winners. Goals coming from Jorginho, Reece James, and Kurt Zuma off of a deflection from Adam Webster. So 3 goals for Chelsea. 1 great goal also scored by Leandro Trossard in the 54th minute, which did equal the score at the time. But Chelsea able to get the next 2. They will come away with the victory, their first victory of the season, and the first appearances for both Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. That will do it for us here today. Thank you once again for tuning in. Hope you did enjoy the stream, and once again, I apologize for the mute issue at the beginning there. So I'll wrap up broadcasting there. Yeah, that's a feels bad, honestly, if you're Brighton. I think like all of Chelsea's goals were kind of like, okay, the first one you shot yourself in the foot. Alzate had a bad pass. The second one, just like James. I don't think Reece James will score another goal like that in his life. Maybe one, right? Like that was a crazy strike. That was insane. That was a absolutely world-class strike. That was incredible. And then the third one, you get a deflection goal, and like that's how you lose the game. I think Brighton were the better team on play, on performance. Like they had more possession. They looked more confident. They seemed to be generating better chances. They seemed to be generating possession in more attacking areas. And a lot of Chelsea players felt kind of invisible to me, particularly Havertz. I thought Havertz was really bad today. Maybe just nervous on his debut, or maybe not used to it yet. Maybe unfit. Could be a lot of reasons, but it wasn't even that he did a lot of bad things, is that he didn't do anything. I barely called his name. So interesting debut. Will give Lampard a lot to think about. But I think he'll have to be happy that they've come away winners at all, let alone with a 3-1 scoreline. So, yeah, those are my thoughts about that match. We can look at the player ratings here. Really briefly, we'll run through them. So I'll run through Brighton first. Matt Ryan has a 5 in goal. I mean, I think he's rather unfortunate. I don't even think you can give him a 5. Like, penalty, a screamer that no one's saving, and then a deflection. Like, what can you do about that as a goalie? So, I think he did fine with everything else he needed to handle. His footwork was good. His passing was solid. So, I'd give him a 6, honestly. Like, none of those goals were his fault. Ben White. I think Ben White was solid. I think a 6.5 is good. Adam Webster. I think he's solid. 6.5. I think Dunk. 6.5. And again, it's going to sound ironic giving defenders who gave up 3 goals like 6.5s. Because, giving up 3 goals is never a good thing as a team. But, like, these goals came from, like, they didn't come from Chelsea having pressure. They didn't come from Chelsea generating a ton of chances. They came from like very distinct individual moments that were both either unfortunate, incredible, or just like, it's the kind of stuff where you look at tape and you're like, just don't do that again, or unfortunate, or, okay, great strike, right? Like, you can't do a lot about them tactically, positioning wise. It would be nitpicky, right, to be mad at the defenders. Solly March, I think a 7, is appropriate. I think he was super active, particularly in the 3-5-2. A lot of good crosses, taking up good positions, was getting back well as well, helping the midfield win their battles. Really solid. I thought Tariq Lamptey, very, very good. Super energetic out there on the right. Absolutely made a fool of Marcos Alonso on several occasions. Defended Mason Mount well. Picks up a yellow, which is unfortunate for a pretty bad challenge. And waned a little bit as the game went on, particularly when they made their double subs and went from a 3-5-2 to a 4-3-3. But I thought he was pretty good and very energetic. Lallana, I hope he's okay. That's all I have to say. I think Lallana's a good player. I think he's got a good opportunity on this Brighton team, and I hope his injury is not too bad. But he was like a 6-0 before he was withdrawn. Trossard, I think a 7's fair. I think he was a little uninvolved with the match for decent portions of it, but scores his goal, takes it nicely, and definitely got more involved in the later stage of the first half and the early stage of the second. Mopé, probably the worst player for Brighton on the day. I think a 5-5 is probably appropriate. He was almost as invisible as Havertz, didn't hold up play super well, which is what he was being asked to do, and didn't combine very well when he could. Chelsea, Kepa, 6-5. You can give him a 6. Gave up 1 goal. It was a tough strike. Made a decent save on the one from Alzate. 6 is fine. Reece James, 8-8. Give the dude a 9. Like, he hit a worldie. That was a world-class strike. That was an incredible strike. He was involved. He overlapped multiple times well in the second half as they kind of got a hold of the game after they scored their second. It was pretty good defensively. Very good performance from James. So, 9 I think is good for him. 7 for Christensen. I think definitely the less involved of the two center backs, but did his job well. I think Zuma gets a 7-5. He gets there's like an 8 here because he scores the goal. Sure. I'll judge it on the merit of the performance as a whole, and 7-5. He was slightly better than Christensen. I thought he defended well, did his job very well, and was obviously involved in the goal, so you can give him a little credit for that. So 7-5, I guess an 8 wouldn't be unfair. Alonso 7, I think that's fair. Conte 7-5, imperious as ever in there, super solid Conte performance. Jorginho, I think 8-6 is too much. I think he deserves a 7-5 to 8. He takes the penalty. He wins the ball back for the penalty. That's fantastic. The rest, he was sort of doing his job. So I guess if you want to count goal involvement, let's give him an 8 above Conte because he did his job well. I think Conte did his job very well. I think Jorginho did his job well and then also was involved in the goals. So Havertz, 6-5, too high. He should get a 5-5. He was easily Chelsea's worst player because he stayed on longer than Loftus-Cheek. He was so uninvolved. I called his name like 5 times, I think, and didn't really do anything spectacular or good in those times. Loftus-Cheek, also 5-5. Again, it was weird. He was put in a position of not much comfort, I think, and it kind of showed for me. Mount, 7. Yeah. Mount and Alonso maybe get a little bit less. I think it's hard to not give them a 7 because they end up winners here and pretty solidly, but they were given a tough time by Lamptey on multiple occasions. Werner, 7-5. I think that's okay. I think he was pretty good in the first half. He certainly was less impactful in the second half until it was 3-1 and they were starting to run at Brighton as they changed their shape and tried to chase the game. But overall, a pretty solid first performance from him. None of the substitutes, I think Connolly, like a 5-5, was similarly ineffective to Mopé, I would say. And then all the others came on a little bit too late to really be judged. So, but that's it. That'll wrap up the stream. So thanks again for tuning in. I apologize once again for the the mute issue. I will hopefully be able to edit that one or cut that one out of the video. But thanks again for tuning in. I'll be back for the games next weekend. And for those of you who are interested or know, I also do League of Legends casting for a company called DeeJay Leagues that does intramural esports in Chicago and other areas. So if you are interested in hearing me do broadcasting for League of Legends, I'll be casting for DeeJay Leagues on Tuesday and Wednesday at 8 o'clock on Tuesday and 7 o'clock on Wednesday, I believe. So if you are interested, tune into DeeJay Leagues main. I will post some stuff on my Twitter about them and put links there, and you can watch there as well. But again, thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.